Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eternal Spring. I'm Paul Thurrott, and I'm here in Mexico City with my wife, Stephanie. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
So, we don't mean to turn this channel into a series of complaints, but we have had some issues over the past few weeks that I think we need to discuss. And, maybe this isn't unique to Mexico, but home ownership can be trying. And when it comes to this channel, we want to give you the good and the bad. We're not here to cheerlead Mexico per se.
Yep, right. Since we made the last video, we've had some friends stay with us. We've had a great time. We posted a few videos from their visit, and we'll be posting a few more videos soon. But in that time, we also had a kind of crazy series of issues that happened in the apartment in a short period of time.
Yep. For starters, the ongoing issues we've had with water, heat, and pressure are not fixed. We had posted an earlier video from this trip in which we said we thought and hoped it was fixed. Everything worked fine for about a week with no heat or pressure fluctuations, right? But then the issues started coming back, and they're still happening intermittently. Sometimes we'll take a shower and it's perfect. Sometimes we take a shower and it's up and down and temperature changes and so forth.
Yeah, we've had people come look at this problem a few times since it's recurred, and the current theory, which is back to one of the original theories, is that the issue is with the water pump in the basement of the building. So as of right now, the building manager is going to have somebody come out and take a look at those pumps. They've done that before, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Problem number two, so to speak, is that we have had several double sets of floor to ceiling blinds installed. We did that last year. I'm sure there's a video or pictures of it somewhere. They've always worked pretty well, right? But we were going to bed one night and I went to roll down one of the shades and the thing came crashing off of the ceiling down to the floor, which is, fantastic.
Yeah. That one, not a great problem to have, but it was actually a pretty easy fix. I was able to text the woman who sold us the blinds and handled the original installation, and she sent somebody out to replace the screws with bigger or different or better screws of some type. And he also checked all the rest of the blinds, and he said that everything should be fine. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that's true.
Exactly. However, the biggest and most bizarre problem we experienced here on this trip, and seriously, thank God we were here when this happened, happened during a crazy flash thunderstorm. So we're here during rainy season. We've known about this before, right? We've experienced it before. But I would say on this trip, rainy season has been worse than ever before. Lots more rain, heavier rain than in the past. In fact, the day this happened, there was hail, which we took a few photos of outside.
Yeah. It was a really crazy heavy storm.
Yeah.
And we were sitting in the living room catching up with our friends. They had just arrived not that much earlier. And the storm was really loud, but I still heard something out in the hall outside the apartment, and it just didn't sound right to me.
Yeah. I thought it was nothing. I said, this hail, maybe it's just hitting the glass out there. Thank God you checked.
Yeah. So I opened the door, I looked in the hallway, and the floor near the door in the hallway looked kind of wet, which was weird. And then I realized that the reason it was wet was because there was water running down the stairs from the roof deck. So we have a winding staircase that goes from the top roof deck down 7 floors to the first floor of the building. That's in the middle of the building between the 2 sets of apartments and next to the elevator. And it was just full of running water that was coming onto our landing level and continuing down like a series of waterfalls all the way down through the building.
Yeah, I've never seen anything like this. It wasn't just going down the stairs, although it was, and got all the way down, I'm sure. On our floor, it was starting to move toward our apartment and to the elevator, right? So the doors are across from each other. So I grabbed a bunch of towels, almost every towel we had, and I went out there with a broom or something as well to kind of sweep the water away. Built a little towel dam, right, to make sure the water was channeled down the stairs and not toward our apartment and the elevator door. And just kind of keeping that waterfall effect going and making sure that's all it was.
Yeah. And at the same time, while you were doing that, I took the elevator down to the first floor to tell the security guard what was happening. And I also knew I had to contact the apartment building manager. So we came back up to our floor, walked up the stairs to the roof deck. And I could see that the door to the roof deck was actually closed, but the water was streaming in underneath that. So I made a short video to send to the building manager. So you would realize, that this wasn't just a minor problem.
Yeah, it's not a little wetness.
Yeah.
The dam we built of towels worked pretty well, right? It did keep the water away from our apartment in the elevator. If we weren't here, it would have come right in.
Yeah.
And I don't know how far, but I'm sure it would have ruined some things here. Some of the apartments below us, we know, weren't so lucky because maybe the people weren't there at the time. And the two right below us are not occupied. So water absolutely got into those rooms.
Yep. So the two security guards made their way up to our level and then up to the roof, and I followed them up to see what was wrong. It turns out that there's a drain in the middle of the roof deck, and that drain was blocked. So one of the guards was able, out there with the hail hitting him, to unblock it. And as soon as he got it unblocked, the water, started going down the drain and kind of receded, and then stopped pouring into the building.
Right. We have these 24/7 guards here, and we can see from just sitting here watching TV or whatever at night that they do rounds. They go up and down the stairs, they check things. I know they check to make sure the unoccupied apartment doors are locked and so forth. And our understanding now is this is going to be one of the things they check. They absolutely do go up to the roof deck every night, at least a few times. And hopefully, and we're told, they will be looking for this now, so this will not happen again. I've been really thinking about this. This has got to be the craziest thing that we've ever experienced in 25 years of home ownership ever.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, it's just not what I expected to see when I opened that door, to see the water just running down those stairs.
No, you think you've seen everything.
Yep. And then in the wake of all these things in the apartment, our friends were supposed to be here for 6 days, and they ended up here for 8 days because they had this bizarre string of flight related delays and cancellations. This was bad timing for everybody because we all had a lot of work to do. But we explained to them that the same thing had actually happened to us last May when we were here, and at least they had a place to stay for free. So it takes a lot of the pressure off and the stress and the expense when, when you're stuck, and at least you have a place to be other than the airport.
Yeah. I mean, we only had one problem. It was crazy. It's not even worth getting into, and unfortunately on the day they left, they actually had more problems, right? They had problems with the connecting flight. They were stuck in Miami, I think it was, for several hours. Anyway, the door-to-door travel for them ended up taking almost 24 hours. It was awful. And then from our perspective, unfortunately, and I think because they were here longer, one of our friends was sick, and we were fine the whole time. But toward the end, you could sort of feel it coming on, and you can probably still hear it. Yeah, you can probably still hear it in my voice, at least. I think you're doing better than I am now.
Yeah.
But the rest of the trip's been great. Right.
No, it sounds like it's just, this video makes it sound awful, but honestly, we've had a good trip so far. We had a lot of fun with our friends. We got to do a lot more of the, the tourist and the visitor type things with them when they were here. Right. Unlike on our last trip, when we were here in March, we had a lot going on back at home, and we really needed to do a lot of work on the trip, and we pretty much, worked and ate. And on this trip, we've been able to explore our neighborhood. We've been having a lot of good meals. We've been catching up with our friends in the neighborhood, and having a good time. These are just little glitches in an overall good trip.
Yeah, and every time we come here, it feels more like home. We know people in the area now. We have a lot of places that we frequent, obviously, and we have other videos planned that will be more upbeat, hopefully, than this one. It's just that all these problems kind of made for a weird start to the trip, and unfortunately, they took up a big chunk of the trip. Is the way it kind of worked out.
Yep. But on the good news front, we have already booked our next trip.
Yeah, I'm glad you did this. This is something I never would have thought of. I've been so preoccupied with all the stuff going on. We always intended to come back at least one more time later in the year. But now, thanks to Stephanie, it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I was online yesterday, and I was just going to set a flight alert for October because we were thinking, October-ish would be a good time for the next trip. And when I was online, I realized that the fares were actually quite a bit lower than I expected. So we talked about it, and we booked a 3-week trip for late October and early November.
Yeah, that just all came together. So that's really nice. We will have more videos from this trip. We do have some planned, assuming we don't have an earthquake or a volcanic eruption or whatever, but we'll get there. So thank you so much for watching. We just wanted to let you know what was going on, and we will be back soon.
Yep. Thanks for watching. Bye.